Having laid waste to the Timucuas, De Soto marched his army north. In the spring of 1540, he approached a town near present-day Columbia, South Carolina. Cofitachequi, a farming community with a religious and social heritage reaching back to the ancient mound builders. The army's approach was monitored by the people of Cofitachequi. They hid what they could of their food stores and sent their elderly chiefess away to a town removed from De Soto's path. When De Soto reached the bank of the watery river, the niece of the old chiefess crossed the river to meet him. Relying on diplomacy rather than military force, she hoped to persuade the Spaniard to spare her people.
The mistress of her town and 8 of her ladies embarked in a canoe, which had been covered with a great canopy and adorned with ornaments. It was towed by a second one which bore 6 principal Indians and many oarsmen. In this manner, they all crossed the river. The mistress of Cofitachequi came before De Soto and, after paying her respects, seated herself upon a chair which her subjects had brought for her. She alone spoke with the governor.
Excellent, Lord. Although my possibility does not equal my wishes, for goodwill is more worthy than all the treasures of the world which may be offered without it. With very sincere and open goodwill, I offer you my person, my lands, my vassals, and this poor service.
Unwrapping a great strand of pearls from her neck, she presented them to De Soto. Struck with admiration, De Soto called her the Lady of Cofitachequi. But her generosity and graciousness would not prevent the plunder of her town. The Spaniards feasted on 600 bushels of corn. They looted the graves and temples for pearls. Then De Soto demanded that the old chiefess be summoned from hiding to gain her submission. Finally, a 21-year-old adopted son of the chiefess was pressed into leading the army to her. The Spaniards marched out of town behind the young guide, stopping sometime later in the forest to eat.
He began to grow morose and to sit contemplatively with his hand on his cheek. He gave some long and profound sighs. Then, as he sat in the midst of the Spaniards, he began to remove his arrows one at a time and very slowly. Observing that the Castilians were not watching him, he struck himself in the gullet in such a way as to inflict a mortal wound, and thus died instantly.
When the Indian bearers were asked why the boy had taken his life, they explained.
He realized that the act of guiding these people to his mother's present location was unworthy of the love she bore him.
The elderly chiefess remained undiscovered. But before resuming his march, De Soto took her young niece, the Lady of Cofitachequi, as his hostage. After days of traveling west, she managed a daring escape, even recovering some of the plundered pearls. De Soto would not pursue her. He moved on, crossing the Appalachian Mountains. In July, he traveled down a broad river into the territory of the Coosa, what is now northern Alabama. The Spaniards were amazed by the size and wealth of the Coosa nation, where a single day's march took them through 12 towns, each surrounded by vast fields of crops. When they reached the Coosa capital, they were met on the road by 1,000 men wearing great feathered headdresses and bearing their young chief on a litter. After replenishing their supplies, De Soto and his men departed without serious incident. With them, they would take stories of Cusa wealth that would become legendary in Spain. As the army headed west, they left behind one man too sick to travel, a decision that would shatter the Cusa world. On October 18th, 1540, De Soto arrived at the fortified town of Movila, in the territory of the powerful Mobile nation. The Mobile had been preparing for this moment. Inside a strong defensive wall replete with towers, a war council was in progress. Upon the arrival of the Spaniards, a man described as a captain general was sent out to confront them.
Who are these thieves and vagabonds who keep shouting, "Come forth, come forth," with as little consideration as if they were talking with some such person as themselves? No one can endure longer the insolence of these demons, and it is therefore only right that they die today, torn into pieces for their infamy, and that in this way an end be given to their wickedness and tyranny.
As he finished speaking, the Captain General was struck down with a Spanish sword. Instantly, thousands of Mobile fighters spilled out, driving back the Spaniards. Fighting so fiercely, they even grabbed the Cavaliers' lances by the blades.
The Indians fought with so great spirit that they drove us outside again and again. Elvas, Spanish Chronicle.
But the Spanish soldiers broke through the town's fortifications with battle axes and drove the Mobile inside their homes. De Soto ordered the houses set on fire. Wind fanned the flames, engulfing the town in thick smoke, while De Soto kept the trumpets, fifes, and drums blaring. And yet, the Mobile battled ever more desperately. Women fought frantically beside the men, prompting one Spanish soldier to say, they fought with a desire to die. Finally, at sunset, after 9 hours of battle, it ended. Eyewitness estimates of the Mobile dead ranged up to 11,000.